now we're moving on to the vegan diet, veganism.
Because they link a bit. Like you get the whole like vegan runners movement and how the diet affects your running, and I guess
I'm just checking your. I am listening. I'm just checking you're in shot. Yeah, we're in shot. We're in shot. We've got the heaters on. It was looking a little bit chilly in here, so we've got the heaters on. Actually, I might turn that off now.
Did a quick warm up.
Vegan diets. You bloody plant eaters.
Yeah, too cold.
Yeah. Meat. It's got to be meat, isn't it? Boy. That's what lads eat. Carnivore, eh? Meat and eggs. So you personally, veganism, becoming a vegan, what was the reasons behind it? Like anything in particular, other than like I'm sure. Anyway,
Yeah.
Vegan, Danny, please. I'm gonna shut up.
Yeah. So it was a long time ago now, and so, but I just remember seeing more and more things about it, and like hearing from people I knew were like vegetarians, and I've sort of was just curious, and I was like, oh, well, how come you don't? And usually it was, I don't know, like they couldn't eat a certain thing because it was like digestion or something like that. But I remember one person saying, "Is like, yeah, I just don't want to eat animals. Like I just don't like the idea of something dying just so I can have dinner." And I'd never thought about it like that. I was like, never like. And I remember I bought myself a meal deal, and it was like a chicken sandwich thing, and I was like, oh, man, something died just so I can have lunch. That just doesn't seem fair. Like it's just, and I don't. And there's an option. I can have something else. You know, it just didn't seem right. So there was like a little twinkle there. And this was like 2014 sort of time. I was working in Sainsbury's, and I remember getting a meal deal when you get like 10% off or whatever. So it started with that. And then, so me and my wife are both vegan now for the similar amount of time. And I remember having a conversation with her about it because she's quite a, I don't know, like animal welfare conscious type sort of thing. And we were like, okay, instead of just like jumping into anything or making assumptions, let's learn about it. So we started watching some documentaries, and then it became to a point where I know so much about the effect that this has, or not only the animals, but like the environment and actually your health as well. I can't not at least try it, or at least give it a go. Or since then I did like 3 months of vegetarian, and I was like, I know like one of the things, like, how'd you give up cheese? How'd you give up bacon? And that was like my 3 month of like, a bit of cheddar every now and then, like, because it's, everyone loves a bit of cheese on toast or whatever. And then I think it was like a New Year's thing, because it's easy to start January the 1st, innit? I'll just be vegan now, see how I get on. And if it's hard, then I'll stop, but I'll just carried on. But that was like the start. And then, and I think I do remind myself, and I'm conscious of like the effects sort of agriculture has on I think the environment was probably my biggest decision at the time. So I watched a documentary called Cowspiracy, and it focuses on the impact on like the dairy industry. I know it's like quite American focused or whatever, but it does translate over to the UK, especially like the land use and stuff like that, water use, and some of the ethical stuff in the dairy industry is not amazing. But I know like a lot of people, like, I don't know how far to go into this about the whole sort of moral stuff.
Go for it. Well,
it's always a tough conversation.
I'd rather you do it, because I've got the notes for anything you want to get into. I'm ready to go, but I'd rather you do it from your point of view rather than me going like, but also, tell me more about this. Like whatever you feel like you want to talk about, go for it.
Yeah, because my struggle at the beginning was like, I'll go around a friend's house and be like, I've started not eating meat or whatever, and they were like, oh, getting Domino's in. And at the time, there wasn't an option. Like you'd have to get wedges and some chips. That was your dinner.
Yeah.
Whereas now, thankfully, like a lot of things are available now. So and that's probably what's going to be one of my answers for like why there's a big push in veganism. It's more doable. So, and then they'll be like, oh, why? Like, and it's almost like they were like offended, and they were like, why would you do this? You like meat? And I was like, yeah, I can like meat, and then also like understand that there's like I got a moral thing against eating it. Like, so I'm choosing not to do it anymore. And it was just like a lot of people didn't really understand that. And then it became like, oh, well, I eat meat. Are you saying I'm a bad person? It was a lot of that. And I'm like, no, it's not about you. I'm choosing not to eat meat. You can still eat meat. And I'm not going to judge you for it. I'm just going to do this over here. And I lost friends because of it. There was like some friendships that were really challenged because of it. And over time I was like, if you're not going to accept me for this version of me, then I don't want to be your friend anymore. So it's
okay, here we go.
took a turn, didn't it?
That's
it's
interesting.
I don't know, like I didn't really expect to go down there, but and then I think that solidified as like almost I was like, I think this is who, like, I want to define myself by doing this part of me like this, but also I don't need to scream about it. Like when I go to a restaurant, I'll just order the vegan option. I don't go into the kitchen and go, is there any contamination going on in here or anything like that?
Yeah, it's not like it comes to the table and go, look at this, everyone, look
just
at me.
Over here,
I'm saving the planet. Look at this. It's just like you just get on with your life, and that's that. Yeah, that's.
But at the beginning, you do need to do a lot of explaining.
What was the like? Obviously, I won't touch on it too much, but the friend stuff. Was it they just couldn't get their head around it, or was it? Did they feel like almost that for whatever reason they felt like you were judging them? Even though you were just going, this is how I want to eat now. This is just me. I continue as normal. Was it that? Did they feel like, because you were doing that, they were like, oh, okay. Like you touched on, they were like, oh, right. So, what? Because we eat meat, what, we're lesser beings? What's going on? Or I'd find that just a bit.
It was very strange. Yeah. And I really wanted to veer away from it. And like I'd never want to argue about veganism. I'm happy to have a conversation and listen to what you have to say. And then I might not even have the answer, but I don't want to argue about it. Like I don't think it needs to be argued about, because we're not forcing anyone to do anything. Like I'm not trying to insult you by doing it. Or I know there's some people that can be quite loud vegans and can challenge people, and it's like, I don't really want this confrontation right now. I'm just asked Italian. I just want to have my dinner. What are you doing? But yeah, there was a little bit of it. And it wasn't the whole package. There was more to why I moved away from certain friends, but that was a big catalyst, like, of how they responded to it, and there was a lot of people just like mocking, taking the mick out of it. But like there's like banter, and then there's just like, that's not that funny. You're just trying to put me down, or well, that's not so fun stuff to be on a podcast. But yeah, it was just a little bit of that. I think some family members, it was really hard to, explain to them why. But yeah, like I was saying, I was not trying to affect anyone as much as I could, because I knew, a lot of people had a weird stance against it.
Recent times, we've got a lot of the carnivore diet has risen as well. And I've said this before on previous episodes. I feel like maybe, I don't know, there's a little bit of, because veganism has become more popular and more people are shouting about it, good and bad. A lot of people have been following a carnivore diet for years and years and years, away from social media. Same with veganism. But I don't know, I think there is a little bit of people going, oh, well, like, people shouldn't be eating just plants. So like, I'm going to be a carnivore. And then it's just like, oh yeah, meat and eggs all the way, guys. Okay. But at the same time, it's not like people are walking around as a carnivore. They've got their diet that they follow, but they're not doing a gaga, are they? They're not walking around with meat suits on, going like, "Well, this is me."
Yeah,
I'm all about the meat.
Definitely one bloke out there doing that.
Oh yeah, I'm sure there is. I can imagine that can be quite difficult as well. Being a vegan, it doesn't just end at the diet. For a lot of other diets, it's their diet can then shape them as a person, and maybe how they conduct themselves and what they speak about, and what I don't know. I'm sure it goes a lot further. Like maybe what sort of ideology they have politically and all this stuff. I'm a carnivore, so I might follow this party. But it's very different to just going, I like meat and eggs. And that's that. Being a vegan is yes, the diet, but then everything else around it. What a lot of people maybe struggle with, possibly. It's because it's just not your diet, it's your whole lifestyle. And it is a big shift. You can sort of pretty much get by diet-wise and doesn't really affect many people.
I think that's the difference between choosing a plant-based diet and being vegan, I suppose.
Yeah.
Because like there's a definition of vegan, I can't remember what it is, but to paraphrase, it's like to try and live your life without using an animal, not manipulating, but like riding a horse is like arguably not a vegan thing to do. Something like that. Whereas you can have a plant-based diet and own a horse, go to a zoo, do all that stuff, whatever you want, wear leather. But yeah, vegan is there's like a moral lifestyle code, I guess, or your approach to life, where you're just like a bit more mindful about the impact you have when it comes to animals, and even So yeah, so for example, like a friend of mine's vegan as well. He went to a stag do, and they went to like the Cheltenham races or something like that, and he was kind of like conflicted of like, oh, I can't go to that. And I think that goes to what you're saying about like some people might be like, oh, come on, mate, I get that you want to have your mock meat burgers, but like, you know, it's just horses going around the track or whatever. But
yeah,
it does affect your life, but like if you really care about it, then you almost like take the hit. You're like, that's I'm just not going to go. And I'm happy in that decision that I didn't contribute to that thing that I don't believe in.
Yeah, you don't dip in and out of it, do you? You know,
No.
like it's diets. You can kind of dip in and out of it if you want to. I'm sure there's people who follow certain diets that, on occasion, might, if you're a carnivore, you might have some carbs, you might have some fruit. Bloody hell, God forbid. And you can sort of dip in and out of it, and you're just like, yeah, whatever. Like no one's there going like, oh, hang on a minute. It's like I imagine like if you go to something like go and see horse racing, or you go and do that sort of stuff. I imagine someone could be an arsehole and be like, oh. Sorry, Danny. What's going on here?
Would,
like, what are you doing here? Like, hang on a minute. Like, what's going on?
But when I think people just their backs go up, like, oh, you're vegan, right? And then, like I remember coming into the office and I was wearing like a woolly jumper, but it was like not real wool.
Yeah.
And people were like, that better be not real wool, blah blah. And like,
burn him.
Yeah. For some reason, just because, you've given yourself this label. I go, like, you try not to, but people will ask, you know, when you're out for meals with them, you go, I don't eat meat or whatever. And then you're just known as that person. If you're wearing certain things, or if you're wearing fake leather shoes and they think it's leather, there's like a big like, oh, I've got him. He's not being vegan. There's almost like this weird want to try and catch you out.
It's quite sad, isn't it? Really? It's like Do you struggle with it now in terms of like the transitional period away from going full vegan? Do you have to work hard to maintain it, or is it now just you've been doing it you're doing it like if it's doing 10 years now? I guess it's now just pretty much day to day. Like you don't really think twice about it. Everything's where you need it to be. But was there a big chunk of time where there was that transitional period that was like not just months, it was like years to actually not just for people around you to go, oh, okay, so this is what you believe in, this is what you do, like that, we're okay with it. But for you personally, it was like, God, actually, this is you slipped up sometimes, or you were like, oh, actually, you weren't too sure about certain things. Oh, hang on a minute, is this all right, or like, should I not be doing this, or do I need to cut this out, or like, how was that?
No, it's a good question because I always say when people say, oh, you know, it's really hard being vegan, isn't it? I'm like, it's hard becoming vegan, but it's not hard being vegan because, like you say, when you've made that transition, which is, I'll be honest, it's not easy. Like I don't want to make out as though like going into it is like this really simple thing. There's a lot you have to change and a lot you have to be conscious of, and it's important to clue yourself up. So you got to do a bit of research, especially on like nutrients and stuff like that. But yeah, there was probably a good 2 years of like, even like I remember my first month of being vegetarian. Even I just wasn't eating enough, and I lost like 5 kilograms. I was like, I don't understand it. I'm eating the same stuff. But then if you were to like put the food you eat through a calorie calculator, you realise that most meat versions of vegetarian substitutes, like a Mexican bean burger next to a quarter pounder, it's like 200 calories sometimes the difference. And I wasn't factoring that in, so I was just eating the same stuff, but then being in a calorie deficit just by not realising. And as soon as I realised it, I went, oh, I'll just have 2 patties then and have a double burger. And then I'm having probably having more, if not the same amount of protein as a burger, but I'm actually just being able to eat more. And it's just like little lessons like that. And like you say, when you're like, I've got examples here of just like, I was going,
here we go.
Yeah. So this is for you.
Oh, thank you.
I know one of the things that, well,
nice.
Do you get that with many of your guests? One of the things is like,
fish off, eh?
Yeah. Nice. Most people are like, vegan food tastes bad. Here's an example of why you're wrong. Because there's like a protein flapjack Biscoff bar, which is like heaven. So I want you to eat that at some point and let me know what you think. Please don't not like it, because What are you talking about? But yeah, no, it's looking at labels, you know, just knowing to look for like, you know, how all the allergens are in bold.
Yeah.
Most people don't even have to think about this, but I'll look at a label and just make sure that I go, right, is there any milk? No. Is there any egg? No. Cool. I'm good. And it's, at first, that was like really tiresome. Like imagine going through Tesco going, fucking hell, I've got to see if there's any milk powder in this one. And then 10 years down the line, I know for a fact I can eat a pack of Skips. I can't eat Sensations Thai sweet chili, which is the worst thing ever.
Right.
Like it's stuff like that. Like I just know. And then certain restaurants, I'm like, oh yeah, I know they have this option because I've been there and I've gone through the, oh, well, I hope they got something. Oh, they're good, they do. When I go there next time, don't have to think about it. I know it's there. And luckily in the last, 3 or 4 years, there's so many, like McDonald's are there, McPlant, you know, all that stuff.
Oh yeah, what's that taste like? Have you had
It's
a
good,
McPlant?
yeah. It's really good, yeah. They're so, you know, so accessible now to like Hellman's vegan mayo. Like I literally substituted mayo with hummus in my first couple of years because I love mayo, and I was like, I need that, like almost if I'm having a burger or something like that, I need a mayo-y sort of thing. And the only thing I could find was like a bit of hummus. And then when Hellman's vegan mayo came out, I was like, this is the heavens have opened here. Like, so I have that. I bought a tub off Amazon once, and it was one of the ones that restaurants I imagine buy that like this. And it
Ladle.
Yeah, come on. Do you want any bread with your mayo? Yeah, and it was annoyingly it did come in the post, and it was smashed to bits. Like it was just went all over the box. And I was just like, maybe that's a sign to calm down. But yeah, that's a bit of a tangent. But yeah, these days it's actually no excuse.
No, that goes across the board for protein as well. Just getting protein in. I always say to like, a lot of clients about, yes, you might not be aware of what foods contain X amount of protein, and it's protein is one of the is like the macronutrient in terms of you don't accidentally get too much protein in. You have to normally work to get it in. But you know, you go to any of these supermarkets now, and if it's into your diet, even vegans, like you've got high protein yogurts, vegan like protein powder for a number of years, it wasn't the best.
No, yeah,
that's now like, you know, I've got vegan protein powder from Bulk, white chocolate coconut, like fucking random flavors, but pretty good. Mixes pretty well. So yeah, we're at a point now in 2024.
Isn't Huel just vegan?
I imagine so.
They
Yeah,
do protein powders and meal stuff.
yeah. The excuses are running out a little bit. Yeah, you're always gonna have a preference of what sort of food that you enjoy, but to try and eat healthily, yes, it can be argued that healthier foods can be more expensive and stuff, like to a point. But to try and get a bit
I get
more
frustrated by that.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but try and get a bit more protein in. Like, we're not
Yeah.
talking about having this super duper fucking organic diet. It's about, can you get more protein in? Even if you're not training, try and get more protein in because it will be good for your health overall. And then try and get a bit of exercise in if you can. You can get some good protein in, like for relatively cheap, even if it is beans and lentils, and you start off there and you just add that to whatever dishes you're cooking, and that's your introduction to trying to get a bit more protein in. Like you said, initially it's hard work, but once you get into the swing of things and you know what's doable and what's not, it then just becomes part of your life, and then that's it. You don't stress about it too much. But that, I imagine that probably does add to the argument a little bit with the whole, you can't fully escape that almost that moral superiority, because being a vegan, by the sounds of it, initially is difficult. It's easier now because there's more products available to you. Once you've done it for a period of time, it just becomes part of your life. But I imagine a lot of people do struggle with that a little bit, and they can't help themselves, and that probably doesn't help. So when they're shouting about it online, they can't not remove the fact that, do you know what? Maybe I am a little bit better than you actually, because I've got to put a lot of work into this, and this is tough, and I'm also trying to save the planet, and I don't eat animals. I imagine some have got that at the top of their mind where people go, oh God, no, why are you a vegan? Like, bloody hell, like, can't you just eat a bit of meat? It's like someone going, you're a personal trainer, so you should have big muscles. What?
Yeah, and a lot of the muscles you see are quite aesthetic anyway, aren't they?
I've got to work pretty fucking hard for this.
Yeah.
Like, I've got to get the protein in. I've got to be disciplined. I've got to do all this stuff. And it's it's easy for you. Oh, because you're a PT, or God, like, how do you eat so much food? Oh, it's easy for you. And like, yeah, because
we got high metabolism.
Yeah, I fucking move around a lot, and I it's taken me years to get to this point. It takes a long time. It takes a form of discipline, and also, I think maybe what trickles into veganism for some people is that moral superiority where it's like, do you know what? Fuck you. I'm not eating animals. I'm saving the planet. I'm doing all this. Like, what are you doing?
So, you know, that's probably a meme that's still going. Is like, you know, there's a vegan because they've told you there.
Yeah.
Yes, that. And I try to do the opposite of that.
Yeah.
I was like, you're only going to find out if you have to.
Yeah.
And so that there. Yeah, sorry to jump in, but yeah, there was a lot of that. Like, but it was like we're out for a meal, and I'll be like, oh, you know, have you got any plant-based or vegan options? Oh, trust the vegan to tell everyone. I'm like, I need to tell them, otherwise I don't know if I can eat what they've got.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like I've just paraded around and told, you know.
I imagine people struggle with that as well a little bit, where they go, oh, you know, like, why won't it hurt? Like, it won't hurt, will it? Just have a burger, just this one time.
Yeah, I've had people go like, oh, do you have a break at Christmas? You know, just to have a turkey. And I'm like, do you know what it being vegan means? It's like, yeah.
But then
you just take Sundays off to murder.
You just gorge on your meat buffet. Yeah, but again, that goes into a lot of other diets. You probably can, and no one's really going to butt an eyelid. If you follow other diets, if you're a carnivore or you're paleo or like whatever, or you've got loads of variations of vegetarian, flexitarian. Is there more subsections for vegans where you follow a vegan diet 90% of the time, but you might have eggs? We might have a little bit of dairy.
Yeah, I don't think there's any like
is that more
official term.
Right. Is that more like vegetarians and they subdivide
I've heard of like chegan, which is like a vegan that cheats every now and then.
Right, yeah, okay.
Shove a block of cheddar every now and then, yeah. But yeah, and I think for some people I know as well, like they'll do it as much as they can. So there are times where it's so difficult that I understand why some people might take a break from it. Like if you went traveling in a place where it's actually quite difficult to eat plant-based, like weirdly France is quite hard.
Right, okay.
It's just meat and cheese over there.
Yeah.
And I've had moments where I'm like, oh, chips for dinner again. Like, depending on where you're staying, there's no like, they don't know what being vegan is. Why aren't you having cheese? What's wrong with you? I remember, like, something you said earlier, like, what was it like to transition? In my first year, I would call myself vegan, but I went on holiday, visited my dad who lived in rural Italy, and there was just nowhere I could have like a nutritious meal unless there was a bit of cheese on it or something, or a bit of, I don't know, a Parmesan or whatever. And I was just like, I'll just take a couple of days off. It's early days. If not, I won't have a proper dinner. Like, I needed to eat a pizza or something, and they just wouldn't do it without cheese. I was just like, okay, I'll have the cheese then.
Yeah, and I guess that you know, it's stressful, isn't it? That is stressful. And now, like we've discussed, it's overall, you can pretty much go most places and you can do something. It might not be ideal all the time, but you can pretty much, like, it's easier to stick to. But yeah, it's easy just to sort of meme it, isn't it? Basically, like veganism. It's because of, again, it is normally around social media. Because there is so much toxicity and there's so much negativity around veganism, carnivore, everything. And it doesn't help when you've got people online. And I tried, I don't know how much you've seen of various, like, you know,
they come
influencers online who follow like the vegan diet or carnivore, but there's so much misinformation about everything, every type of diet, every way to lose weight.
There's always a study that proves what you want to be right as well.
Yeah, and it's exhausting. And you know, you've got, what's his face? God, what's that guy called? Eddie Abu.
Yeah.
And like, it's...
I don't really...
No, more mercifully, he pops up because he's popular, isn't he? So like, if I follow like certain fitness channels, they may critique what he said. You can't say he's completely harmless because he is coming out with stuff that's actually quite dangerous. If you want to tell everyone to eat eggs, meat and eggs, fucking hell. Tell them to be eating meat and eggs, like, fine, whatever, like, go for it. But then he starts talking about, like, if you've got IBS and it just, don't worry about that. Don't take your medication. Just eat meat and eggs and you'll be good to go. It's like, oh, fucking hell, isn't it?
That just seems counterintuitive.
Oh, it's rough. And then of course, like, bigger influencers come on and go, this isn't good enough. Yeah. And then it's just this vicious cycle
it's a circle jerk of reacting to each
people
other,
reacting to what he said. And like, of course, you got to call it out because some of it's dangerous. But then it continues forever. And then it like Liver King, it'll die out eventually. Yeah. Some other bozo will come along with the next big thing. And we're like, oh, okay, here we go again. But I don't know if you've seen this guy, this carnivore guy. And he's like, he hates vegetables. You know, he's not a big fan of vegetables. And he goes into supermarkets with his top off and he's just like punching broccoli. Yeah. No, seriously, like it's honestly, it's absolutely fucking obscene. And he's there just picking up broccoli.
What I do at home with my house?
Like with his top off. I don't know, why is his top off? He got his
they
top
always
off.
are,
Yeah.
yeah.
And he's like, he's good Nick and stuff, but he's there holding this broccoli. Like, look at this, it's fucking gonna kill you.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's exhausting.
The thing is, what gets clicks isn't what's best for.
Do you want me to move that forward?
No, that's fine. It's me being silly. Yeah, it's always just like what's entertaining or what's going to grab you. What, like a shirtless man punching broccoli. I mean, I love that as a side note on a script.
2024.
Yeah. It's got to the point where it's like, right, everything's been done. What have we been shirtless punching broccoli yet? No,
Pretty
we
much,
haven't.
yeah,
Quick, let's getting
that is literally it, yeah.
And yeah, I try and steal. I know what you mean. I try, and it's really hard not to, isn't it? Like, because it is quite funny, and you almost like watching it, knowing it's done, but you're still watching it, right?
Yeah. And it is harmless. It can be harmless, like, but for some it's not. That's the problem. People look at this guy who's top of punching broccoli, and they're like, oh yeah. So broccoli's the devil.
Yeah, and
no broccoli
young,
for me.
Impressionable people are like, right, that's now my philosophy. I'm not going to eat vegetables. It's not a really good thing to teach people, is it?
Yeah, and then
I'll be fucked.
It's I don't know. It's rough. It's rough. Yeah, we won't touch upon that too much because you just go down a rabbit hole of shit, don't you? Basically,
Just make our own version of it.
Yeah, basically the moral of that is if you see people online who are labelled themselves like carnivore Chris or like vegan Val, keto Karen, maybe not avoid entirely because they might have some half decent information, but you know that they're going to be quite biased. If I start calling myself, oh god, what's a diet that begins with B? But yeah, bread only Ben, and people start going, yeah, but there's more to life than bread, Ben.
So I've already done the pattern on my name.
I'm fucked. Like if I start selling my own version of bread, or I start going, everyone, you must only eat bread, and if you're not, you're gonna fucking die. And I'm just like punching various items of food, going to the supermarket, top off, like pick up the
bread
vegan
covering
bar,
the nipples.
Shit. I've kind of got to stick to it unless I go, oh, do you know what? I was wrong. Sorry about that. I'm now called something else because I'm now following another diet.
Yeah, baked beans.
Baked
Bens.
Yeah, beans, Ben. There you go. Yeah. So be cautious of that. I'd say if they got the diet in their name, be wary that the information is going to be might be slightly biased.
But that's it, isn't it? Like it's a very loud minority, those sort of people, but they know they're there mainly for the revenue. They don't care about that.
Oh, it's oh yeah.
They might have originally cared about it, but when they get a lot of views, they're kind of like, well, if that's what's getting me views, I actually don't care what I do, like, or what impression I'm having on people, or what information I'm not. They don't care. I think they just want the. They want the exposure and the views.
Yeah, and it's not a bad thing to do because it's like you niche down to that degree. Mm-hmm. You don't need 10,000 people buying from you. If you just niche down and go like, I think you should just eat bread and that's it. I could just go, right, do you know what? It's bread and beans for me. That's it. Yeah. And then if I get 100 people
vegan diet,
that will buy into the bread and beans diet from Ben, I'm fucking quids in. Yeah. I'm like 100 quid each, please. And then like they go, this is ridiculous.
Just then beans on toast for lunch.
Beans on toast, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You could go sandwich. Snacks, like just bring your tin of beans, spoon it out, good to go. If I can get 100 people on that, paying me £100, and I just recycle that over and over again, I've fucking made it.
Should we stop the podcast and just start? Yeah.
Watch this space. Right, okay. What else have we got? Supplements. Are you consciously supplementing anything, or do you feel like you're covering your bases? Anything that I guess supplements is a tricky one because I imagine the vast majority of vegans probably, even if their diet is spot on and they're being wary of certain supplements that they might, or certain vitamins that they might be deficient in, you probably still need to maybe look at supplementing because you'll still miss the barrier even if you're really wary of it.
Yeah, it's one of the things going back to like the first couple of years that I definitely didn't know anything about, and I had to teach. And then, like I was saying, like my advice to anyone who's like thinking about going vegan is like try and do it as informed as you can. But then it made me realize I should have been doing. Anyone should do that with any diet, really. Like when I started going vegan, people are like, are you getting your protein? Are you getting this mineral? Are you getting this vitamin? It's like, why all of a sudden do you care about what vitamins and minerals I get? Why you didn't care about that before? It's kind of weird that you care now, like so much. It's not super, super easy. But anything worth doing, I don't think it is. Like, for me, I just like look at what I eat. Okay, what am I missing in that? I need to add something that has that in it. So like recently, I was sort of weighing up my iron, realised I haven't been eating as much spinach as I used to eat, so I've just been eating a bit more spinach. But then some of the milks I have, or even some of this like Weetabix and stuff, is fortified with iron and is fortified with calcium and stuff like that. So you can, if you're, you know, a little bit mindful about what you eat, what vegetables you have, what nuts you add to that, what if you're having flaxseed, get your omegas in there, you can have a well-balanced diet with good vitamins and minerals. There will be times like in the winter when I think most people need vitamin D.
Yeah.
So I do supplement vitamin D in the winter, but hopefully I'm out enough to get it in the summer. And then B12 is the big one. So that's the one where, as much as I've tried, you actually can't get it in your diet anymore. So I do supplement B12. But that's like one chewable tablet a day. It's got a bit of B12 in it. I think it's got iodine, which is another thing that's quite difficult for. But most people don't even know what that is. So it's like,
unless you find out you're deficient in it, and even then you're like, what the fuck's that?
Yeah, well, I feel
just take this.
fine.
Okay,
yeah.
right, fine.
Yeah, and then it's vitamin C. I think a lot of people try and supplement, but I think that's quite an easy one to get in your diet. Vitamin C, if you have enough fruit and veg.
You're pretty. You're pretty covered. Even though like a multivitamin is it can be quite useful for some. But then again, it depends what your diet is looking like overall, and that's the same for all supplements.
Yeah,
is that a lot of people, if your diet's dog shit, and you think, oh, just supplement, it's like, well, it's not.
But then he's not teaching you to help to fix your diet. It should be like I want to supplement as little as I can.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So it's like, get a multivit, but then work your diet up. So that's redundant because you're getting it in your food.
Yeah.
And then it's like, you know, like microbiotics and stuff like that. People are trying, my gut health or whatever. It's like, why are you not just making your gut okay in the first place by eating decent food? It's almost like everyone's trying to do fixes rather than not needing to be fixed.
Yeah, they're supplementing a shit diet by having supplements. They're like, oh, my diet's dog shit, so I'll just supplement it, and then we'll be about right. Like, well, just work on your diet a little bit first,
and you feel so much better as well. Like, yeah. So that balances it.
One of the biggest things, isn't it, with being a vegan, is that it's, like you said, vitamin B12 is the big one, but it's inevitable that you're probably going to be, or if you're not, even if you're quite meticulous, there might be the zinc, the iron, the vitamin B12. Calcium's obviously one as well. Like, I wouldn't say to people, oh, make sure you start supplementing straight away if you start following the vegan diet, but
I think just track what you're eating.
Yeah. I feel like it's probably worth tracking for the first 6 months or whatever, just to give you, so you know that if your diet's pretty much the same for most people, like their diet, give or take, is 80% the same. Like, to a point, maybe the weekends they go a bit nuts, but track that for a few months, see where you are in terms of your micronutrients, and then from there you then sort of know, well, do I need to add a vitamin B12 tab in?
Yeah, but it's like I did early on. I was like, I don't actually get that much zinc, like you were saying about zinc. I was like, okay, what foods have zinc? Oh, cashew nuts are really high in zinc. I'll snack on cashew nuts, and then that covered it. It was just this really easy thing, and I use cashew nuts now to cream up sauces. So I'll blend it in my curry sauce, stuff like that. And then that's just like, I know I've got my zinc there. And basically I've got a bag of like 500 grams of cashews. And as long as I get through that in a week, in dishes and in snacking, I know I've got my zinc for the week. So it's like, and I don't even think about that anymore. But at first I was like, I need to think about that. Now I don't, because it's just part of my... Yeah. So
what about creatine? Do you take creatine?
No, I don't know.
No? Yeah, creatine is probably the one, another big one as well. If you...
Do you get it in diet then?
You get it in meat, in red meat. So, and even then, it's like once you've cooked the red meat, most of it's gone. So you'd have to. I think it's like something stupid. Like, to get 5 grams of creatine, you'd have to eat fucking 5 pounds of red meat or something stupid. So,
but I always find with stuff like that, it's like, red meat's got this, but it's like it's also like really high in saturated fat, and isn't it like a carcinogen and all this stuff?
Yeah, like, that's what they say about artificial sweeteners and but then in terms of like a carcinogen, I think your mobile phone's the same in terms of like red meat and having a monster energy drink.
That's where it gets in the weeds, isn't it?
You hear they go, it's a carcinogen, it's gonna kill, it's gonna give you cancer. And it's like, I know, but like, so's your mobile phone, it's the same shit. Like, no, I'm not looking at that. So yeah, like anything with artificial sweeteners and all this stuff, there's and like all this stuff might be right. Red meat might be killing everyone. Monster energy drinks, the old white monsters that people love, might be killing everyone. Like the studies might come out eventually where it's like, shit, bad news. Yeah, those artificial sweeteners are actually going to give you cancer. Eating red meat excessively, you're in big fucking trouble. Oh no.
Yeah. But what would people do? That's another. Like, people are aware that animals have to, not to get well into it, but animals have to die for us to eat meat, right? There are people who know that. It's not like that's a secret. People also know it's like a massive impact on the environment, and people also know that cutting meat, even you don't have to stop, but like cutting it will make your diet healthier. But they just don't want to do it. There's obviously like a small subculture that are doing it, but knowing that information does, for the masses, doesn't matter. Like, it always needs to be like, right, if you don't stop now, you might die or whatever. And people will start doing it. I don't know.
Oh yeah, yeah. Even if all these studies came out, like, you still got to make a decision.
Yeah, people are like,
it's like smoking, isn't it? It's like anything.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, like smoking is fucking terrible. It's like, just stop doing it. Yeah.
I quite like it.
Yeah, I enjoy it. It's part of my life.
Yeah, I like it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
but with smoking, people, they had to they are now, aren't they? Like, they basically have to like force it out of people's hands by taxing it ridiculously, putting stuff on the packet, make it quite hard for you to get. If they didn't do that, people would have carried on, I think.
Yeah, and I get it. Like, it's the pits. Smoking's terrible, but there is for the next generation, for kids, of course. Like, try and get them off it and don't get them to start in the first place. But then for someone like my nan, she's like 84 years old. She's been smoking her whole fucking life. Like, let her have a cigarette.
Yeah,
it's like I of course I get it, but for some people it's almost just like, it's a little bit too late. Just let them enjoy it. So it's obviously the repercussions of doing it for the youngsters and for the next generation and stuff. And like it sucks. It's a bad habit, but
they're too busy like vaping on their weird elf things.
Oh god, yeah. I do find it quite fascinating watching school kids. Come on. Yeah. Watching school kids. Let me finish.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah, we've had some issues with the whole kids things before.
Touching.
Yeah. I find it fascinating watching school kids vape. When I've been like walking along and I've just seen these school kids just whipping out these vape sticks. It's just like, fucking.
It's like a status thing. Like, when I was a kid, it used to be what colour JVC gummy headphones you have, and now it's like, what flavour? Yeah. Elf bar.
Like, what flavour of bubblegum have you got this week? And like, can you blow it in everyone's face?
But it's like it's nicotine. It's like, that's got an
I can only imagine what that's like when people at school and these kids are in class whipping out these vapes. And they're like, sorry, can you not vape in class?
Yeah.
Oh, so we've gone from, can you put your mobile phone away, to, can you not vape in class?
Yeah.
Like, fucking hell. Dear God. Yeah. Like teachers, salute you. Like me. Holy hell.
They're probably vaping in the cupboard.
Probably. Well, they're on the hard. They're on the actual cigarettes just to get over the stress of it. Yeah, to be honest, apart from like getting into the weeds with like leucine and like all this stuff, I don't know. Is there anything else that you feel like is really worth having a chat about in terms of like just in and around vegan and what's more? Because I've got stuff about like fake meats and all this, like what they call, like Impossible Burger.
Yeah, they're brands, aren't they?
Yeah, like I don't. Are you into those? Do you have those? Are they in your diet? Are you like whatever about them?
I'm a bit whatever. I'm conscious that they are like a fairly processed, but I feel like they're still better than having a burger sort of thing.
What about corn? Overall. Is that? I guess it's the same thing.
Yeah,
isn't it?
I think they're partnered up with Greg's Sausage Roll, so I've had a few of them.
Right.
But at first, I think they're a really good transitional thing, because like most people, the thing they struggle with when they stop eating meat is like, I need that meaty sort of, Because I remember when I first I had a pasta and I was just, I need mince in this, or I need something. I need like chicken on it or something, and it just felt like there was something missing, and it was almost like, I'm not getting this thing. And these mock meats give you that without the, the effects on the environment and the moral stuff. It's just a way of doing it. And then some people just stay like that. They're like, I'm happy. I just want to be here. But it's not like that's like still an amazing diet. And I think a lot of people think, veganism is healthy. It's like, sugar's vegan. It's not if you have too much of that, it's not great. And like, you can obviously have like processed foods and like high fat stuff.
You can have a shit vegan diet. Like you can still overeat and go into a calorie surplus and like eat junk on a vegan diet. I think
Easily.
I think a lot of people probably think, oh, you do a vegan diet, like you're good to go. Eat whatever you want. Like you can't eat junk on a vegan diet. No, you can.
Definitely, yeah. I've definitely had that, yeah. But yeah, I personally try if I can to eat as like the plant-based thing. So like, yeah, rice, pasta, potatoes are base, and then I'd prefer like a bean protein or something like that, like rather than a mock burger. So like, or tofu's quite good actually because it's like it's not that processed. It's soy made into a little thing. And
do you like tempeh? Do you ever like into that?
Kind of, yeah. Like not at home. Like I'll have it in like a restaurant or something.
It's not a big thing in the UK, is it?
No, you can see it in there, and I look at it and it's quite scary. I'm like, what do I do with you?
Yeah, I had quite a lot of it when I was in Bali.
Going back to like the meal thing, like I really like making curry from scratch, like with the cashews and then chuck a load of tofu in that, and then I'm good to go. Like broccoli, mushrooms, just stuff though. And that to me is like I don't know, like I'm not adding too much processed stuff into that, and I know it's like fairly healthy. It's hitting all the micronutrients, stuff like that, and it tastes good. Like that's you don't want to like get I've hit my base, but eating cardboard sort of thing. You want to enjoy it. So yeah, it's finding a dish that does that for you.
Do you feel like protein wise you're good? Like was that a struggle initially, or was that pretty easy to?
It's a bit. I think that I don't know if I'm be careful what I'm saying in front of someone who probably knows, but I think it's a bit of a fallacy to think that you can't eat too much protein. Only if you're like looking to like build muscle or you're training a lot, it's quite hard not to eat too much protein. Like as long as you're eating enough calories. Most meals you want to pair with a protein anyway, like even if it's a mock burger or something, or tofu, baked beans, whatever. But even something like rice, isn't that like 10% protein, isn't it? Or like 9% protein?
Yeah, a lot of foods that you don't associate with having protein in it adds up. Like oats and rice and pasta and potatoes. Like they've got protein in. So if you're getting a good amount of those every day, it adds up.
Yeah. So I was tracking early on, and there were some days I was like, to be honest, I didn't have any like proper focus on protein, but I was still getting enough. And people it's not protein deficient. I was maybe not like getting because you want to overdo it a little bit just to make sure you capture or whatever. But it's quite easy, I think. Than people think. I think it's one of those things that people jump on because it's like meat equals protein. You're not eating meat, therefore you're not eating protein.
I imagine a lot of people that might say that aren't maybe getting a lot of protein in anyway. Because I think once you've done it continuously and you've got into the habit of being more conscious of how much protein's in this and that and all the rest of it, it then starts to become easier. You start to have your protein like if you have snacks, for example, you start to then try and base them around protein, maybe some fat, whatever. But you don't just eat whatever. It's always like, okay, so for a snack, I'm going to have something protein based. I'm going to have some yogurt. I'm going to do this and do whatever. Once you've got into that habit, then it becomes a lot easier. I think initially for people who aren't really conscious of what they're eating and their diet, like across the board, whatever diet they're following, they are just probably getting most of their protein from like the net protein from like rice and from your pastas and from your oats and stuff. And if they are getting it from meats, if they are like omnivore, like their meats might be in terms of quality. I mean, that links in as well with a lot of vegetarians and vegans. They tend to be healthier overall just because they're also not smoking. They might not be drinking alcohol. They might be exercising
Outdoorsy,
more. Yeah, so that their lifestyle overall is just a lot healthier than meat eaters or people who are eating a lot of red meat. And also a lot of that red meat might be processed. It might be like ultra processed. It might be really shitty like frozen doner kebabs and all that sort of stuff, rather than like a nice lean fillet steak.
Which is like when people like they compare the price sort of thing. Like you're saying, the good cuts, your chicken breasts and your meat, that they're quite expensive, aren't they? Like relatively. Whereas like a good lentil is a lentil. Like there's no like, do you know what I mean? Like you can just get a.
There's no like, that's a fine cut of lentil over there. Yeah,
it's a ribeye.
Quadruple the price. Yeah,
but do you know what I mean? Like I think like you don't really get that with plant-based foods in the same way. But I am conscious that like if you go to like a free from section and you look at the alternative versions of certain products, the prices are inflated. Like your milks, it's cheaper to buy a milk from a cow than it is to buy oat milk, mostly because of subsidies, but that's another conversation. But and that's, I get that there's a jump there. If you still want to have your cereal, if you still want to have teas and stuff, you're gonna have to spend a bit more on your milk now. Like there is that. But let a bag of lentils compared to like steak or whatever, and I know most people are like, how is that even comparable? Like,
dare you?
But over time, when you know how to cook a good bolognese with your lentils,
that's the biggest thing for me with being a vegetarian, vegan. I would happily eat more vegan-based stuff. But it's just the only thing I've struggled with is that if like Fiona became a vegan, she was like, oh, I'm a vegan now, I'm vegetarian. There's it sounds a bit obvious, but there's just no in between.
Yeah.
There's no like, oh, okay, Monday to Friday, I'll eat vegetarian-based stuff, like vegan-based stuff, like no problem. But like over on Sunday, should we have a bit of a lamb roast or something? Like, come on. Like, no, that's not how it works, Ben. Like, oh shit, okay. Okay, that's my only thing is that there's just, unfortunately, there is just no in between. It's like if you follow that diet, you follow that diet, unless you do just follow that diet, but you just dip in and go, like Monday to Friday, which is not a bad thing. Like, I think if you do that 90% of the time, and you might have the occasional bit of meat, or you might for like certain occasions and stuff, I don't think that's a bad thing, is it?
No,
But I'm sure that can be demonized as well. For like people are like, oh, you're either all in or you're not. So fucking get out.
And both communities hate you because you're like, you're anti-vegan, and people are, you're vegan most of the time.
Yeah.
I think that's really good though. Like if you're going into like the moral stuff and the environment stuff, if everyone didn't eat meat on Monday, it's ridiculous to know, like, to see the positive effect that has on like water usage and like CO2 and stuff like that. And it's also, most people, it's unrealistic to think, 1 week you're eating meat and 1 week you just stop. It's just unrealistic.
Yeah.
And I think I'm lucky that I just live with my wife who is also vegan. It's easy for me. Like, I open the fridge, I can eat everything in there. We both did it together. Like, we was like supporting each other. We compared notes, all that stuff. Whereas not everyone can do that. Like, it is, especially if, like, let's say you're 15-year-old at home and you start watching that YouTube, I want to be vegan. And you go to your mum, I want to be vegan. It's like, I'm not cooking another dinner for you. Like, that's effort.
Yeah, no,
it's
that's a good point.
It's not,
Yeah. Tomorrow I'm going to start my diet.
Yeah.
If there's nothing in place, if it's not realistic, you might do it for a week and then it's like, oh, this is ridiculous. Here's your new diet. Here's your workout. Right, so 6 times a week in the gym. 1,000 calories, like 200 grams of protein. That sounds good. Like, good luck. 6 weeks. Week in, like, fuck me, I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah.
This sucks. This is unsustainable.
It's like the running though, isn't it? Like you just you got to ease yourself in. You got to trial and error, and you've got to be okay with failing. You got to be okay with doing it really badly, to get to the point where, okay, this is routine. I'm quite good at this. I'm reaping the benefits. That beginning stage is actually not an easy stage to be in mentally and to get through. And I think a lot of people, and I understand it, just stop. I can't be arsed. I'll just get a Big Mac or something.
Yeah. Well, you know me. I've got fucking, how much do you want? It's all here. I'm ready to go. But yeah, I think that realistically, look, if you want to come back in the future, more than happy to. You're a lot better looking than Fiona. Just looking across the table, it's like, this is all right.
Luckily, this is the good side. If I was on your side.
So look, if there's anything else that you feel like is vegan wise, then we'll finish off on that. I know you want to say, like, have 5 minutes at the end to talk about like extra stuff about running, because there's a question about running I want to talk about as well.
Okay, yeah.
If there's anything vegan based or diet based, then yeah, go for it.
Yeah, like I think we covered all the things I was expecting to chat with you about. It's tough, like I was saying to you. It's I'm in a lucky position where I haven't really had to thought about it for the last 5 years, really. I live away from home. I'm a wife's vegan and stuff. So I try and at first I was trying to shout about it. I was kind of like, oh, did you know if you did this that you'll be a better person? You were saying earlier about like I'm automatically better now because I'm vegan. I didn't shout about that, but I was kind of like, you know what, it is a really righteous thing to do. You should do it. Why aren't you doing it? And that's not helpful for everyone. Like, it's maybe some people need to be not forced into it, but like shouted at. But most people want a slow, I don't know, they want to take in that knowledge and then make that decision for themselves. They don't want to be like forced into it. They just, So now, I just don't think about it. I don't really talk about it, like, and I don't consume that much stuff about it, like. But if people ask questions, I'm like, yeah, whatever. So there's nothing, I don't know, that we haven't touched upon that I want to scream about. But I think it's a good thing to do. Like, if you can do it, like, at least try sort of meat-free Mondays. At least be a bit open-minded about it and watch a couple of documentaries. And I think anyone can do it. I know, like, some people are like, I can never do it. There's a guy, like, I work for an environmental organisation. There's a guy who's like, he's got his Tesla and he's got all this stuff. And he's like, I know being vegan will help the environment. I just can't do it. Like, I'm like, if you put your mind to it, you can. Like, when people say I can't, you technically can. Like, you just need to try, and it's not easy, but you can. But yeah, just see, and also, like, yeah, make it personal to you, trial and error, and all that stuff like that. Try not to follow other people's food plans. Try and make your own, because I know some people jump into that, don't they? They like look online and find a vegan food plan, eat foods they don't like, and go, I don't like being vegan. It's like, oh, you just ate something you don't like.
Yeah, and it's different for everyone, isn't it? It's everyone. People, like, if you're single, you're 20, and like you've got no responsibilities, you know, I'm going to uni, or like, I'm going to work or whatever, and you go, you know what, I'm just going to try this whole vegan thing. It's a lot easier to potentially stick to or start, as opposed to, like, you know, the guy in his 40s, 2 kids, wife, mortgage, blah, blah, blah. Right, that's it. Right, vegan. Yeah. This is what we're going to do. Right. What?
Yeah.
So the kids have got to start eating like a vegan. We're vegan, like, and we're strict. There's no like dipping in and out. This is it.
There is a distinction between plant-based and vegan as well.
Yeah.
I think some people put them hand in hand, and it's just, I don't know. There's one's more of like you got the more moral stance, and one of them is just like trying to eat that sort of way. You know, it's like a diet thing, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. Do we need to touch upon that? I don't think we need to. No, yeah. I think plant-based is just. I think plant-based should be pretty much like prescribed to most people.
Yeah.
Right? Try and eat predominantly plant-based stuff, and then from there, if you're eating meat, fish, okay. But yeah, I think plant-based is just like aim for that. Aim for 80%, and then you got your 20%. Like you die 80% of healthy foods, and then 20% of unhealthy foods or naughty foods. I think it kind of works with the plant-based stuff, doesn't it? It's try and get as much as you can in, and then that additional 20%, depending on what you want to do, work from there. But we touched upon it, but there's a lot of negativity around veganism. So realistically, other than getting into the minutiae of like, right, let's talk about Lucy and let's talk about all this, it's like you can't help but go, God, did you see this online? Did you see this bloke? Like, how do you feel about this? And like, you know, you touched upon it a little bit with like friends and stuff. Like, because
people
I'm not
attack
surprised, but fucking hell.
You see a lot of really, like, there's articles in the, I don't know, like in the Times or whatever. They're like, oh, this vegan now is now not vegan, and it's better for them. So therefore, everyone is, you know, it's like it's one person. That's just like the least scientific study you could do. Or like, oh, lettuce has a really bad effect on the environment, therefore stop being vegan. It's like, you know, non-vegans eat lettuce as well, right? It's just like this weird attack against, and the almond thing, you know, oh, almond milk is worse than, you know, it's so bad. Or soy, you know, like deforestation. It's like, you do know that most deforestation happens to make soy to feed the animals that we don't need to, you know, like, it's just like this weird wanting to go, right, how can we quickly, you know, attack them? Or there's a study that comes out quick. There's just like, I don't know. Maybe it's just like that's what my algorithm's trying to do to me.
No, but like I said, you've got blokes in supermarkets topless punching broccoli.
Yeah, that's it. That's like, what I was trying to say.
How have we? What are we doing? What the fuck are we doing? Yeah. What's going on? Like, just if you don't want to eat vegetables because you think they're going to kill you,
just do it in the corner. Yeah.
But then again, it all
I hope he's paying for that broccoli.
I can imagine he's probably not. I can imagine he's the sort of guy that you see. He just picks up random bits of items, twirls it around, punches it a bit, pokes at it, and then puts it back.
I kind of hope he does, because it's like a hilarious irony that he's like supporting the broccoli industry because he's funding it by paying for broccoli that he can punch.
Yeah, you see this guy with top off punching broccoli. You think there's so many questions to ask this guy, but it's
who hurt you is the first.
It's tough out there. It's tough out there. It's difficult. It is tough to try and actually eat or follow or do anything. Because if, like most people, they've got some form of social media that they look at every day, and they see that and they think, oh God, it's all every food now in some capacity is demonized. Like we've gone beyond the whole, oh, fat's the devil. Don't eat fats. You'll get fat. Oh, carbs are the devil. Sugar, you're addicted to sugar, you're going to die. Yeah. We've gone beyond that now. Now we're talking about individual foods. We're not just talking about macronutrients. We're talking about individual food. If you eat broccoli, you will die. Oh, fucking hell. That's a leap, isn't it? Yeah. So, I don't know.
I think with anything, there's no right or wrong either. It's not life is never that simple. There's so much nuance to everything. And then we all slot into it in our own little way that's different from everyone. So you just can't compare yourself, and you can't do the right thing. Ultimately, you just have to do your best, whatever that is. I don't know if that's a note to end it on.
Yeah. Get your protein in, get some fibre in.
Be informed, I think luckily with vegan, you naturally get your fibres. You get loads of really good macronutrients, micronutrients, sorry. But yeah, make sure you should probably supplement B12 and just keep an eye. Eat more than you think as well, which is actually quite a good thing. The positive mental health impact of running, or even it as a form of an outlet for some people. Because I know both you and I, we're affiliated and our backgrounds in mental health projects and charities. I used to work for mental health projects, and I don't know. There's definitely a massive link between exercising, being active, and mental health. Like scientifically, endorphins, stuff like that. Your body's like, it's giving you a reward for doing the thing. But I think like running is almost, for me personally, that was going back to the lockdown thing. That was my outlet. Like it was, as much as it was me trying to stay active, whenever I did it, it just made me feel like incredible. And it was like getting me out and out into the woods and stuff like that. It's about green social prescribing, trying to get yourself out into nature. There's like loads of science behind how that helps. And if you're running as well, you're in nature, you're being active. There's just like this, symphony of all these good things that are like your body's taking in, and you're like, wow, I feel quite good actually. I do implore people if they're could do with an outlet, try running, because I genuinely think like if you can do it, it's a really good option.
Yeah. You're getting a bit of everything, aren't you? Getting your exercise, you're getting outside, mental health wise, you're getting the chance to clear your head a little bit, which is it goes across the board with a lot of exercise. But sometimes it depends also the intensity of the exercise as well. Like if you're doing HIIT training, if you like HIIT training, do HIIT training. But in terms of other than you feel better after it, so your mental health, you feel better because you've exercised. I don't know how much clarity you get. I don't know how much you're clearing your mind because you're fucking balls to the wall for 30 minutes doing HIIT training. You go for a leisurely walk, or you go for a nice little jog, nice scenery, you got nice good podcasting, good music. Ultimately, it's like what's going to work for you. Like what can you stomach? What can you stick to? But without being a runner, and I can't imagine I'm ever going to be a runner, but walking was a big thing for me around lockdown. I always associate walking with like, oh God, I have to walk there. I'm getting the bloody car. Like, that was a big thing for me. I always used to have a sort of I used to associate walking as just a pain in the arse. So doing that over lockdown, and I've kept to that now, and with like a lot of people, they're stuck in front of their laptops a lot of the day and stuck chained to a desk, and they don't move around a lot. So yeah, I think walking is just a huge thing. Yeah. And there's various studies about getting as little as like 10 minutes of walking in 2-3 times a week will improve your mental health by X amount and improve your everything, your health overall. You haven't got to overcomplicate it. I think like we've spoke about with dieting, exercise can fall into that bracket as well. It can be like, oh, am I doing the right exercise? Am I doing this? Am I doing that? Oh, like that person online's doing that, or like Sheila down the road's doing this, doing CrossFit, and that looks pretty scary.
Past your window every day.
Yeah, she's doing her kipping, and she's doing like this.
That's a good point though. Like the whole comparison thing, that's a really important thing to note, isn't it? Like not to compare yourself to people, especially with running and walking. And like Strava can be a little bit bad in that sense, and it's that class and
gamifies
social media,
it, doesn't it?
And like, oh, they're doing this time, or they're running this amount of miles, and I'm not, therefore I'm lesser than them, or like I'm a bad person. It's like it's all relative. Like that's like the whole classic comparison is the thief of joy, isn't it?
Mm.
Like, yeah, you're almost focusing on what they're doing rather than beating your previous weekly best, which is what you should be focusing on. The only person you can beat in that scenario is yourself. Yeah, and you know, it's easier said than done, but I think that's so important to try not to focus on what other people are doing. Yeah, like that's what, like I'm a bit wary whenever I talk to people of running and that, and I'm like, yeah, I ran a marathon. It's kind of like this, like really quite a bit of an achievement. But then to other people, like, oh, I'm not going to be able to get into that. And I was like, yeah, but I was in your position a few years ago. I had to work up to this. Like it, you know, you shouldn't compare yourself to me, someone who's been running for 4 years, and you've been running for like 4 weeks. It just doesn't make sense. And I think a lot of people got to be careful of that on social media as well, like comparing themselves to all there's a lot of stuff on social media of people doing these amazing things and like running, and it's inspiring and it's you know, it's helpful, but just don't bring yourself down because it's such a standard that you feel like you might be able to get to that point if you work hard enough, but they've been training for years. So
yeah, it's always that's like starting's always the hardest, isn't it? You can't get away from starting a new diet, starting a new exercise regime. Like getting the ball rolling is difficult, and the irony of it is that your mental health might not be in a good place, and because it's not in a good place, you've got no motivation or discipline or whatever to start exercising. So he's trying to get over that hump to start doing any form of exercise or just moving around a bit more, being a bit more conscious of your diet, which should, it almost guaranteed will improve your mental health to a point, which will then motivate you to then do the exercise and do that more often, because you know that there's a correlation now. It's just getting over that. If you're not feeling motivated, if your mental health's not in a good place, the last thing you want to do, you need to exercise more, move around a bit more. You could probably improve your diet a little bit, and it just makes you feel worse. It's like, fucking hell, I need to do this. I need to add that to the list. Fucking hell. It's just trying to get that. It's just trying to find anything. Running might be it. Walking, whatever, which can get the ball rolling to improve how you feel, and then it starts to link in.
Yeah, I think walking is a good example of that. Going back to what you said earlier, because that's a super accessible thing. Most people should be able to do that, and it's also low impact. Like you can walk 10 miles one day, wake up the next day, and probably be able to do some walking the next day. But if you ran 10 miles, you can't do anything the next day for most people. I know 10 miles is actually a really bad example because that's bloody miles.
Yeah, but it's an extreme, isn't it? Yeah, and you're never going to get away from those extremes.
But like, and even like the weight loss and active thing, I think it's underestimated how many calories you use when you walk, isn't it? Like if you walk for an hour, you're burning a fair amount of calories doing that.
Well, yeah, and it goes into the calories that you burn during the day. A lot of people think, you burn half of them doing exercise, going to the gym, lifting weights, going on the treadmill, whatever. But in reality, you're only burning about 5%. Any exercise you do, even stuff that's quite intense, you're only really going to burn about 5% of your total calories through that planned exercise. And that could be running, that could be lifting weights, that could be hydrox, CrossFit, whatever. 60 to 70% is burned from just existing. And then you've got your NEAT. I was talking you got your NEAT, and then that burns like, say, 20%. So you've got 60, 70% just sitting here, existing. Then you got your NEAT, and then you've got 10% left, 5% towards exercise, and then 5% towards digestion of food. So in the grand scheme of things, like doing that little bit of exercise is not a lot. Do it if you enjoy it. Like try and find something you can enjoy.
Benefits as well, isn't it? Yeah.
Getting that walk in is going to make up more in terms of more calories burn than doing that exercise that you probably didn't want to do in the first place.
Yeah.
But yeah,
that's why diet is so key, isn't it? When you're any sort of weight loss or any sort of health thing, because even if you're just sitting around, even if you're being quite active, it's still a small amount of your used calories that day. Like even when I did the marathon, I think that was 3,000 calories. It's quite a lot actually, but I still was my base. Is it the NEAT is the base calories, right? It's probably a couple of thousand there, isn't it? For me, maybe.
Yeah, so I guess your BMR will be 1,600, say, in terms of like if you just sat in your chair all day, you'd still burn that amount of calories, and then based on your activity levels, which are going to be pretty high, you'll then bump that up to mid 2000s, high 2000s, and then
But it's still more. It's still more if I just sat there, isn't it? Like, as in compared to the active calories.
because people then go and exercise and they go and exercise to burn calories, which I think is not a really good thing to get into the habit of. Like, if I go to the gym and I burn on my Apple Watch, which says like 800 calories, fucking hell.
Do you think they should get rid of that?
Don't ever treat exercise as a way to burn calories. Apple Watches or any type of watch that tells you how many calories you're burning, I think can.
And it's not that accurate either, is it?
No, it's wildly off a lot of the time. Not wildly off, but it's not great. And
I can have a mince pie when I get in.
yeah. It's like make sure you roughly know how many calories you should be consuming. So that might involve some form of tracking for a period of time, just to give you an idea. But don't look at that and think, oh god, I've burnt 800 calories, because if you've already worked out your calories for the day, you know based on your activity levels and your calories and what you're doing and protein and all the rest of it, you know that your calories are set at this amount. So don't get to that amount, but then also go, well, I've also burnt an additional 800 calories here. Okay, there we go. Like.
Gives you a full sense of being able to eat more.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people, but then again, that goes into the same thing. If people are going out to run because they've chosen that as their form of exercise, but they hate it, that can then they look at their watch and go, oh fucking hell, thank fuck, 600 calories I've burnt. Oh yes, I'm going to run back and eat. Yeah, I'm going to have a buffet when I get back. Rather than you go and do an exercise you enjoy, you don't care about how many calories you burnt. You've just gone, oh, that was a good use of an hour. Okay, I feel pretty good. Like, feel strong. Like, did this, did that. Got like a new PB in running, and then you go back and you just follow your diet and you just eat like normal. You don't like
the motivation shouldn't be I can eat more if I'm more active.
Yeah,
that shouldn't be a motivation. It's like
it sort of is my motivation a little bit, to be honest. I enjoy walking, I enjoy doing all that, but I like it. It gives me a bit of a buzz because I know like, well, if I'm not active, if I don't get my steps in, if I don't go to the gym, unless I want to start putting on weight. If I eat the same amount of food, give or take, I'm going to start putting on weight. So, and it depends, and also what I do with that time that I'm active. When I'm getting steps in, I put a podcast in, listen to stuff that I enjoy. That could be music. In the gym, if I'm like trying to lift heavier weights, I'm trying to progressive overload and all that stuff. It's like I found stuff that I enjoy. But like I said at the start, I've got this 10-second commute to my gym.
Yeah, it's not easy.
Still, some days I'm like, fuck that, I don't want to do it. But I know that if I sat that off, and I have a few days away for whatever reason, I don't exercise or I don't move as much, my mental health goes in the bin. It suffers.
Yeah.
But that's taken me a long time to get to that point.
Yeah.
So initially, it took me a while to get to there in the first place. I had to go through months and years of doing it to get to that point where it was like, this is now part of the routine. Not like, oh God, bloody hell. Like, this is the setup. And if I don't do it, I feel worse for not doing it.
Yeah. I'll be honest. Like my focus in the last 4 months has been training for this marathon. So like, I know I need to do these runs and they're all set out for me. I've made a training plan for myself. I was like, right, I need to stick to these things. And if you look at my phone, you can see how like probably over-organized I am. I've got a training plan. And even when I've done one, I'll write down how many miles I've done, how I felt and stuff like that. When that's done, I've done my marathon, give myself a week off this week. I've really struggled like to like know what to do. I haven't felt as like fresh and like, because I haven't been out running. My body needs to recover, so I can't run. And that's been like a good, not proof, but maybe a bit of proof of like, yeah, no, it does help, because like you've almost like took a week off to sit there, and it showed you how much better you feel if you were running, or if you were active. It doesn't have to be running, but walking, being out. I haven't done any sort of gym exercises either, so I'm feeling a little bit weak, which is. But yeah, it's interesting. I think when you stop, when you don't realize you feel good until you stop doing the thing. You're like, oh, I was doing good and I didn't realize you're just being you. And then you stop the thing and you don't feel great. That's like an indication of that thing being good for you.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Yeah, but it's just trying to get to that thing.
Yeah,
and it takes X amount of time. It's not just like, oh, tomorrow I'm just going to start doing that.
And you also can't. It's hard to know that you feel okay. I think because it's almost like a base level, isn't it? Feeling good is almost like, okay, I'll just do my day, and you just happen to feel good, and you don't just go, oh, I feel good. You just don't feel not shit. If that makes sense.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
So when it needs time away from that to know what it takes to get to that. Sometimes I think.
Yeah, well, unless there's anything else you want to end on. There's no flashy outro, to be honest. I've
absolutely grabbed away.
No, it was good, though. It was good stuff, wasn't it?
I hope so.
It was, yeah, as I said at the start, as my 15-minute intro, I was like, I'm not going to talk as much now. I'm going to let the guest speak. Like, fucking hell, mate. I'm like, this is the new beginning. Me, like, trying to shut up a little bit. And
is this your Joe Rogan era?
Yes. What like having the tangents, but then trying to then rein it back.
Yeah, I think we've done all right, actually.
I think, well, there should be plenty of like 30-second clips anyway, at the very least. Like 2 hours. Well, like you said, I'll separate it into 2 episodes, which I think makes sense. But yeah, I think there'd be. Do you
want to try your bar? Tell me what you think. Are you a Biscoff fan?
Oh, yeah, go on then. Yeah, all right. Let's have a look. My only issue with and this is just,
I don't normally eat these, by the way.
This isn't like just vegan bars. It's the fact is that they call these like high protein bars.
I know, yeah.
That's
their
what
marketing is annoying.
Yeah, that's
like
what,
anything, and it sells if they do.
Yeah,
that.
That's what gets me.
You know, like Veganuary, the January, wherever. It's hilarious to see like brands that don't normally care about it. They all of a sudden promote their bread as being vegan. It's like bread's always been vegan. Why all of a sudden are you like? It's because it's Veganuary and they're trying to get the sales. Anyway, what do you think?
Tastes like Biscoff.
It's like a Snickersy thing, isn't it?
Oh yeah, tastes top notch. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. So that's one of the things people like. They think being vegan is you can't have chocolate because they associate chocolate with having dairy, and it's like, well, chocolate's cacao mixed with stuff.
Yeah.
You can still eat some good stuff.
Yeah, no, I'm impressed with that.
Yeah, that's yours now.
Yeah. Thanks very much.
Kind of the blue one because I'm quite peckish.
Like 7 grams of protein. It's like,
yeah,
it's better than nothing, but it's like, don't call it high protein.
I know.
Like, bloody hell. Well, they're all guilty of it. Like you said, it's all marketing.
Yeah.
And again,
like the yogurts
with the protein stuff, it's people. Oh yeah, go for it. People buy that sort of stuff, and it's like, high protein, 7 grams.
I've got my protein's in, yeah.
And it's like, fucking hell. Well, not. You can have a spoon of peanut butter, and that's got the same amount of protein in. So. Again, it is a minefield out there. It's not easy, but anyway, I think that will do it. As I said, no fancy outro. Just look, as I said, I'm sure we'll have you.
Get a little jingle going on one of those buttons.
Oh Christ! Don't let me. Oh no, well, that's muted. I've just muted you. Shut up, Danny.
Wish you could do that. There you go.
Oh, there we go. Nice. That's about right. Oh no, that's the processing. How do you turn? Oh, probably do that. What else? We've got music bed. Yeah. I need to use this more often.
Improv like a little intro.
Oh, actually, this is great. Actually, yeah. No. So when Fiona's talking in the future, I'll just be like,
that was like the melody of that, wasn't it? Oh, she's getting a bit boring. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I'm gonna. It's just laziness. They're ready to go, and you can put your own bits in. So I've got these various segments.
Do the music one again.
Oh,
there's a natural jingle there.
Oh, this one.
All right. Push pull health. Push pull health. Push. Oh,
bloody hell!
This is like late
health and the pulls of life. Yeah,
this is like late night with Ben.
That's that could work, but you can put your own sounds in. So again, just laziness. But as I said, new era.
Yeah, I can see it cutting away to you just like doing some.
Oh yeah. I'll make sure when Fiona comes back, I'll be like, "Oh, this is Danny told me to do this." So when she starts fucking going nuts, when I'm like doing all these songs, she goes like, "Just speak, just shut up." I'm like, no. Danny was the one who suggested it. Yeah, all right then. Yeah, well, thanks very much. Thanks, Danny. I'm sure I'll have you back in the future.
Long time listener, first time guest.
Oh, thank you very much. Yes, but I'm sure there's plenty more that we can delve into.
Yeah, sorry if maybe I went on some mad tangents there, or a bit irrelevant.
Oh no. There's no worse than...
bit preachy at times.
No, yeah, but the thing is, like, you can't... It's not preachy, is it? But it's just... Yeah,
it's
again,
tough,
it's
you can't say it without...
No, it's the stigma, isn't it? It's like, yes, I'm a vegan. Here he goes, right? You can't... backs up. Everyone's like, oh, God, is he? Why? Oh, he's saving the planet. Cool, all right.
All right, pleasure.
See you later.